And I want to just get straight into what I feel like are meaningful questions. I don't want to be here no more than maybe like 30, 40 minutes. So I want to give you the opportunity to like elaborate as much as you want on these questions, and then I'll just flow back in, and you know me, you know how we do. So my first question for today is, right, what personal experiences or struggles inspired you to start Here's the Cool Stuff, and how do they still shape your mission today?
I was 26 or 27, and I was a teacher. And around like 25, I couldn't see past this like 27. So I didn't think my life was over, but I couldn't imagine my life older than what I was. So that kind of scared me a little bit. And I started getting on this hustle and bustle of trying to control my future. Like I really felt at 25, it sounds crazy right now, but I felt like if I don't do this, whatever this is right now, I'm not going to be set up for 35, 45, you know what I mean? So I went back to college to get my master's degree, and I was on my way to get my doctorate because in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be in the classroom anymore. I already have been in the classroom for a decade. I don't, the system is not set up and it's not conducive to my passions. So if I'm going to be in this career, I got to get out of here. And by out of here, I mean out of the classroom and be an admin and do some real work. Well, life happened, meaning I experienced death for the first time, which meant I experienced grief. I was going through a breakup. School, and this is how you know, everything on paper was going good. You know what I mean? My bills were paid, all right? I had like a 3.8 in college, and it was a breeze. It was a breeze. But my spirit was still very heavy. And I didn't make these moves because I was a genius 25-year-old. I made these moves because something inside of me was smarter than me, okay, and making me move in a direction that my subconscious wanted to go in. But if I had it my way, my fear wouldn't allow me to see this far, okay? But what God did was turn everything around for good. So there was a lot of hell going on. And all of those things pushed me into needing to make a big moves. I didn't know that was going to me like quit my job, but I needed to do something with all this energy. By energy, I meant energy from grief, energy from bitterness, energy from resentment. Like you mentioned something I never even thought of. It was things that went down in my home when I was 14 and 15, with my parents that really shaped my whole being, and I didn't know it for real until you said that 6 minutes ago. You hear it, but it hits you when it hits you. And now I'm like, you know what? Wow, I was carrying a lot of things. It didn't matter who was wrong. I was carrying whoever was wrong. If it was my mom or dad, I was carrying the lesser of it. So if my father did something to my mother, I wanted justice for whoever was less than. And I put on my back everybody who didn't have, who wasn't heard, who didn't have justice. That became a part of my MO. You know what I mean? So I was the voice for a lot of people without knowing that was what I was doing. But that came out of my mother not being able to speak up for herself. Okay, so I began to speak up for everybody, not even myself. I just began to speak. So thank you for sharing that, because I didn't understand. Because I will say that's cool, but no. I want to be whole. I want to be whole, to make the biggest impact. I don't want to be, changing my life around because I want to make a point or get back at my dad or, prove my mom wrong. Those things cause division within your own human self. There's no growth in that. You know what I mean? So I quit my job to address that I needed to make a shift in my being. I had no other choice. I quit because I've something in me was like, there's a new chapter on the horizon. Everything is going well, and your spirit still ain't right. So you got to make something got to give. So I could have moved away. I could have quit my job. There's a number of things I could have did, but I landed at quit my job. Now, arts is what I love. This store, it was to help pay my personal bills, like food, lighting, not lighting, electricity and all that. I'm telling you, to be honest, in 10 years of doing this, it has not done that. It has not paid my bills. It has not done those things. I have been keeping this up. The dream was for that to happen, but that has not happened. But I'm just answering your question. Art is my passion. You name it, you name the form of it, I'm in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm in there like swimwear. But that don't pay the bills, and you know what I mean. If you're not famous, nobody want to hear or see what you got to do. But I was like, I'm gonna keep doing my art, and this is just gonna, you know what I mean. So that's why I quit my day job, and I, got rid of all that other stuff, so I can be more clear in this world as a man. Because I started bleeding, brother. I started bleeding, and I'm an impact man. Like, it don't matter. Like, my existence, I'm gonna be making an impact, whether it's positive or negative. If I open up my mouth, I'm making an impact. If I say hello, I gotta be intentional about what's coming out with the hello, because I'm gifted and I'm talented to make things change in the room. And because I know that about myself, that's why I said I gotta be whole. Because when I walk in a room, they say, "Who's that guy?" And they're gonna attach themselves to whatever I'm giving off. Whatever you giving off. It ain't just me, it's us. Okay? I just figured it out a little earlier on, and I said, well, God allowed me to see that I needed to make a shift so that I wouldn't be bleeding on other people in the process of me becoming whole.
And that's the part I want to actually just chime in on, and I want to ask like a 1A-B question type vibe. But one thing I want to elaborate on is that's exactly you elaborated on it well. I was recognizing that those my worldview that was a reaction or a response to what was going on in my house was causing me to have unhealthy relationships with my brothers and my friends, and as well as the women that I was keeping around me in my life. And I didn't realize it until my blood was all over them all the time. So that was a great way of just creating that visual for that. But can you touch a little bit on the arts and the your passion as well before I move on to the next question?
Yeah, what you want to know?
Just what they are, and like you said, selling clothes was to get to the bills, but you already knew what the direction of your passion is. So I mean, I'm more than sure that you can elaborate on maybe JGP and just what that encompasses at the very least.
Okay, performing arts, yeah. And like I have a love for visual arts, sculpting and crafting. What you see behind me, 90% of this stuff is my brother. He just left. He made all of these things. I got like 2 pieces up here, but he went to school for it and he's an expert. So I'm very clear in my level. So I have an appreciation for art. You know what I mean? But that's not my twist. I paint and draw for fun, or like to get something off of me. You know what I mean? Or to lead me to what I really love, which is music, movement, writing, theater, film, documentaries, storytelling. That's my passion. I have degrees in music and dance, but at this point, that was just because I needed to do something and keep my GPA up. You know what I mean? But at this point, it has led me into doors, because I didn't see myself doing this like a JGP. I thought I had to be found in a bathroom singing in the stall. Somebody be like, hey, who's that? You're signed. That's what I thought. That's how I thought it'd go. So this was really, I quit my job to be for like a passion project. So writing short films and scripts and plays and music has just always been a way for me to keep my happy. I was too insecure to see it past that.
Okay. And so I mean, I wanted y'all to hear that for yourself, because y'all know where y'all fit in. Y'all know what y'all passions is. Now that y'all have him in here, make sure y'all tap in. That was a plug. I'm just plugging y'all in. So that's part one. I plugged y'all in just now. Okay. So we're going to keep it moving.
And by the way,
yeah, go for it.
I've been here all my life, not in this building, but in this city. All right. And it's crazy to say that. It is crazy to say that. I graduated at 16 in 2003. That was over 20 years ago. In 2000, but that's when I wrote my first show. It doesn't feel like 20 years ago. I'm just putting some things in perspective. It feels like 10 years ago. Maybe. The pandemic really screwed it up. I don't know what years and what time is. My whole reference of time is just gone. But I've been here for so long, so I know a lot of things just by being here and by doing the same thing for so long. Okay, like I didn't change up. Okay, so I've been doing music. I've been doing movement. I've been doing film. I've been so much so that I've passed on. I'm still here because of the store, but I've seen the waves. I had a wave. You know what I mean? My generation had a wave, and I'm seeing the new waves come. And I'm like, oh, and supportive and encouraging. But what I don't see, not just in this realm, but Like I was telling you, I don't see people that are hungry. I know you think you hungry. You think you hungry. You know what I mean? I'm not talking to you unless I feel like I'm stepping on your toes. You know what I mean? You think you're hungry, but you're really not hungry. You really want to address your insecurities, all right? And you really want to address your fears. Because until you address them, you can't say you're hungry or thirsty. You know what I mean? You out here playing and really wishing and hoping for something that will never come true because you're not putting yourself in the rooms with the right people. You're not volunteering nowhere. You're not helping nobody. You're not serving anybody. You're not going to ask the people who are doing it, what did you do? How did you get here? Can I help you? Can I serve you? Can I do? And serve is an interesting word, but I don't use that loosely. I know that I'm successful because I went into places and helped people literally for fun, literally what you did. And while there for fun, they got bored one day and said, do this. Or they didn't want me to be like, you know what? Here, let me show you how to do this. I'm like, dang, now I know how to do a budget sheet. But I would have never learned how to work lights. I would have never learned how to do sound. I would have never learned how to sew a costume, which actually may open my mind to actually sew pants and suits and skirts. I would have never did that had I not stayed a little longer after event to be like, you need me to do something. And I'm telling you, I'm just say Philly. I know a lot of people are not from here, but I can only speak for where I'm at. A lot of people, and I'm generalizing, people in Philly want to skip that part. Like skip the internship. Like skip the helping hand. They're all about the service and community. Lies. You ain't about no community. If you're about the community, you be in the community. You know what I mean? And the community would know who you are. You know what I mean? Maybe not your name, but they would know your face. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to say, check your inventory, like your personal inventory, to be like, all right, am I really doing what I really want to do? And it's okay that you may not be, just identify it. But like, you know what? This actually is a hobby. So that you can stop stressing yourself out and stop turning red when you don't get the things that you don't get, or when if you're not making the right impact. All right. So as an artist, y'all, I've been seeing the same thing, and I would say go back and start with giving. Even as an artist, last thing, you are a business. You know what I mean? You are a business, and you want to. Thought that was Sheen. Oh, it is Sheen.
You felt it. You felt it. Right.
I smell Sheen coming.
Right. I felt it.
And you are a business, and as a business, you still have a problem to solve. All right. So, what problem are you solving as an artist? If you can figure that out, maybe not right now, but if you can figure that out, you can find your tribe.
Give thanks and praise, and that's one of the things that I've appreciated from you the most is. That statement you made about being hungry, because every room I walk in, a lot of people affirm like, oh, TJ, you everywhere and you doing this and you doing that. And I really appreciated the most how you always seen that there was more for me. Not that, because, you know, it's like, oh, TJ, you good? Where you at? And I'm like, nah, there's so much more for me. So it's like you was the first person in a really long time that lit that fire underneath me. It was like, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I love you, bro, because you seen more in me. My second question is, how do you define cool stuff, and how has that definition evolved with the community you've built?
This started out by me being bored as a teacher. Always loved clothes. Not always, but around 15, 16, I started just like picking up different things just with my eyes. You know what I mean? And for myself. And when Instagram came out, I just started screenshotting people that look much like many of you in this room.
I know that's
and
right.
I would repost them on my page. And eventually I called the page Here's the Cool Stuff. And it was just a blog, all right? Or a vlog, or whatever you call it. So when this happened in my life, I didn't grow up with this idea. This happened in a matter of 2 months. I ran out of money. That's what happened. And I was looking for a place to sell my clothes. So I was on Craigslist looking for little pop-up shops, little events. I couldn't find nothing. But what did come up was an ad for a spot on on Broad Street. And that's what opened up my mind to this idea of having a store. I did not go to Craigslist to find a store. I went to Craigslist to find pop-up shops and little flea markets to sell my things, because people kept saying, oh, you got cool, So I would never throw anything away. I would I'm tired of wearing this. I put it in my basement. I'm like, one day I'm going to sell this somehow, some way. And so that was the idea that I had. So the cool thing was just because of what I was seeing, like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's like, I don't know what cool is, but because this is my store or my Instagram page, cool is kind of what I'm saying it is. But I gotta say, it was not what people would look like. It's how they made me feel when I saw them. Okay.
Is that how it evolved, or is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what I mean? So like you're you, but it was something about when I look at you, how you make me feel. Not about what you say, not about what you do, because it's just a picture. But something about, what I mean, would move me. And that's what I call cool. Now I'm not too sure I would have that experience if you weren't wearing something interesting. I may not be able to experience this phenomenon that is you unless I did like this. You know what I mean? So that's what's cool about the experience. But you gotta be in the right standing. I'm not talking about right versus wrong. I mean, you gotta be present to make the experience. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all have to be present in this world. You have to be out there. You got to put yourself out there in all black and in different colors, whatever, to be seen, to be heard, for you to move me. And I think it's a plus when you open your mouth and can say something, great. You know what I mean? I think it's a plus if you start moving and you got rhythm, but just on the bank of just like experiencing a person. That's what it is. And I didn't get that from clothes. I got that from the arts, like being an actor and singing and dancing and being in places where you are forced to experience vulnerability to be like, okay, this person is good or bad. Now, not a bad person, but I'm talking about school. Like you need to be able to say, okay, this is a good performance and this is a bad performance. And then when you get into the pedagogy, you need to be able to break it down and be able to say, okay, if I'm going to teach you how to get from 1 to 2, I need you to get into these steps. So that kind of training is what made me, that kind of training is how I manifest different opportunities and experiences and how I navigate different things in my life. So that's how art shaped me and shaped my outlook on people, and that's how I see cool. So it's not clothes, it's what I learned in the arts, and it translated itself in how I see people. And nobody's nude, so it's clothing. It's clothing that tells a story before anything else. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, when I opened this store, y'all, what's up? It's good to see you. For real. I'm good. I forgot what I was saying. You made me smile.
You're talking about how cool can be expressed.
Okay. Cool. Thank you. I know I have a store and I know it's clothing and I know it's about visuals, but I wanted to say that this was just an opportunity or giving people permission to try new things and to be more vulnerable to say what they want to say. So all of us are saying something with what we wear, like really. But when I got this store, I had this idea, y'all. My idea was every day I'm gonna dress up. I'm like, I'm gonna just lay it down. Every day I'm gonna come in here with a different kind of style. Like one day a suit, one day a jeans, short, whatever. It didn't last at all. It didn't last at all. Not only did it not last because I was new and nobody was walking into my store, so essentially I was wasting outfits. You know what I'm saying? The other part was the clothes weren't indicative of how I was feeling. So there was a conflict going on. And to every day of that conflict, I'm like, I'm falling into the same trap I was in before I quit my job. You know what I mean? Just with clothes. And the last thing about clothes that I realized is my outlook on clothing has changed based on how people use clothing. People, not everybody, but generally people use clothing to, categorize things. So, I feel better about myself, that's one good way. But when you start saying looking at other people and then saying, okay, this person is more or less than, or I feel better than them, or this makes me feel, and having a store, I see that a lot. And that's the part about retail that I hate. But, that I can't put that on a t-shirt. It's essentially that a lot of people use clothing not to accentuate their great characteristics, but to lie. You know what I mean? Especially you grab an item, you take a picture in it, you price it $1,000 Instagram, and then you come back and you give it back. That's lying. You know what I mean? You're not rich. You're you know what I mean? Your whole outlook, and there's a lot of people that live that life. that live that pretend life, that live that fake life. And having a store, you get to see that. So my thing has changed to it not being about the outward appearance. It really is about what's going on the inside that really should affect the outside. And at a certain level, you should be able to just move and shake and do what you want to do and not affect what's going on in the inside. You know what I mean? Your inside is, or your, like your heart, your mind, your fruit, what's going on. You can walk out with sweatpants and a tank top. I'm serious, I do it. And when I do that, people are like, oh, I love the way you dress. I'm like, my gosh, are you crazy? I just walked up, but I know what they're saying. They're talking about me. They talking about you. They're not talking about your sweatpants. They don't know how to articulate. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to say what they want to say. So I'm like, I like your outfit. No, you don't like my outfit. You like me.
Right.
You know, people be like, I wish I could wear that. I got on jeans and a t-shirt. You can. You do. You did. You are. So what you see and what we admire is not what people are wearing. It's their gall. And we're living vicariously through people when we can literally do the same thing. And the bottom line is, we literally are. We really are. We're already doing it. We just don't want to name it, because sometimes if we name it, we got to be responsible for it and keep it up. We got to keep the cool up. Well, the answer is you don't have to keep up cool. It is what it is. You cool when you down, you cool when you up. You cool when you don't lost, and you cool when you found. You are who you are. I'm talking if you're cool. If you're not cool, then this doesn't apply. But whatever you are that, and you can't, you know what I mean? And listen, and your audience artists, this is for the artists in the room. Your audience, like, they will go with you on the journey. They will go when you fall or when you mess up. They're waiting for you to recover, to learn. Yeah. You know what I mean? They're like, oh, he's down. Shut up. Don't talk about her. Don't talk about her. He's down. He said it. He did it. And what? And what? And they're waiting for that song for you to explain. Maybe not explain, for you to be like, yeah, I did this. I cussed that. I hit. I lost my job. I'm over that bitch. And they with you in that journey, and they're waiting for you to recover to see how you get out of there. I'm telling you, people are living vicariously through you. So cool is not just not doing cool things. It's continuing to survive and be authentic as your true and natural self, which includes good days and bad days. And I'm not too sure you can do that freely, bound by the prisons or the prisms of society, the prisms of your own mind, meaning like generational stuff, like what your mom said, your dad said, I want you to be this, and you're not that. That's still in your head. Like, you know, be a doctor, you'll never be nothing. You'll never be nothing. That could still be in your head, even though you're walking around with 10 jobs. That can still be in your head. You think of you nobody because somebody else's idea of you or somebody's dream for you. They cast that word over you. And so a lot of times, like even myself, I am grappling with words that somebody said. I heard somebody say something this morning. They said, people can say something to you to stop your hair from growing.
Lord knows. And that's
wow. You understand?
Yeah.
People can say, and then walk away and don't even remember what they said. But for you, you got to deal with that for the next 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm bald. I lost my hair because it's genetics. But let's just imagine that somebody said something to me at 20, and I kept thinking about it, and one hair after another. Now, 20 years later, I'm bald. Now, I'm not saying that happened, but I know that's happening to a lot of men and a lot of women.
And you were the one that we had a conversation one day, and like you said, to highlight the element of what cool is. You know, that the way you just told that story, it reminded me like when I was in kindergarten, and your teacher would read the book, but they'd bring the story to life, though. They ain't just reading the pages. You know what I mean? He always knows how to bring the story to life, and John was one of those people who was consistently asking me, where are you at? Where are you at? And I'm like, what do you mean? Everybody sees me. He's like, no, but where are you at in here? Where are you? Where's TJ? I'm getting to know him. And when people are around, I don't see him no more. So I had to really take that inventory and start understanding more of what you said. Like, am I cool to me? Do I like what I got going on? Am I appreciating what I got going on? So, yeah. But you said we need a little breaky break. Mm-hmm. All right. So, yeah, we're going to take a break. I know mad people just walked in. If y'all want to, like, reorganize, y'all need